Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode of SheSpark. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Ankitha and I'm a high school junior. I started this podcast with the intention of learning more about successful women and sharing my learnings with those of you who have the same questions as me. This is the first episode and I hope to record many more, so please like, share, subscribe, follow, anything, so I can keep doing this. Thank you. Hi everybody, I'm Ankitha and you're watching SheSpark, where empowering conversations unfold. Join us as we dive into the journey, wisdom, and accomplishments of successful women. Today's guest is Saumya Tiwary, the founder and CEO of YourGreenCanvas, an India-based company whose objective is to incorporate greenery into urban spaces. Hi Saumya, how are you today?
I'm doing very well, Ankita. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thank you
Looking
for
forward to this conversation.
Me too. Before we start, would you mind telling everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi. So, as Ankita said, my name is Saumya, and I run a landscaping and green design company called YourGreenCanvas. The brand is by GC, and we started with green products for that we used to sell out of stores, and then sort of gradually progressed into commercial landscaping, and then now we have also moved into retail landscaping, which is your personal landscaping and individual landscaping for homes and balconies and terraces.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's been an interesting journey of about 10 years, and it took us some time to like take off, but yeah, now we are I think we are sort of settled in this space, and we should be doing more, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. And what was your inspiration for starting something like this?
Starting something like this. So interestingly, both my partner Babita and I are not landscape architects. Uh, I used to work as an HR in Wipro, and Babita was a day trader. And interestingly, I was on a maternity break, which I kept extending. So my maternity break, which was supposed to end in like 6 months, probably extended to 5 years. I just couldn't make myself go back to the job I had. And Babita was really getting stressed in her. It's a very stressful work that she was doing in trading, and she just wanted a break. And we decided that we'd do something. And around the same time, we attended a workshop on terrariums in London.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of sparked our interest. Both of us come from heavily like plant loving families. My mom's a botanist, her mom's been like an avid gardener, and we wanted to do something with this, and we brought it to India and we experimented with it. And our first product that we decided like very casually, very like no plans, we started making terrariums. Took us about 6 months to 8 months researching how to do it in India, what are the plants that we can use and where to source everything from. Yeah, so it just started without any thought almost.
Mm-hmm.
It just because we just didn't want to go back to our regular jobs, and we were very sure we didn't want to do that. And it has just taken off from there. So yeah, that's how it all began.
That's very interesting. I've never heard about terrarium workshop. So what inspired you to go to that?
So we were traveling, and it was basically, so we were in a phase of life where we wanted to do like experience things and new things, and it just seemed very interesting, and we were there for an extended stay, and we thought instead of just wasting our time here and there, we'll attend this workshop. And it used to be conducted by a company called London Terrariums or something, I don't remember now. It was a very casual affair in like a small cafe, but it was so interesting and it just sparked our interest. And not that we didn't know about it. Incidentally, Babita had a book actually that on crafts that had mentioned terrariums and like how you can make a terrarium at home. And so it was not like a new thing for us, but yeah, it was a completely new art that we learned. And we were so enamored of it that when we came back, we just wanted to like make it and sell it. And selling was also not like something that we planned to do. It just sort of organically happened because we were making it and obviously spending so much of money and buying all the products. Even the rates actually that we decided was so silly, and the way we did it, like we were there was this shop that we wanted to sell it to, and we were sitting in the car and it was like, she'll ask us how much we want to sell it in, and like, oh, okay. So we had no concept of how to price a product. We were that ignorant about running a business. It was completely like off the cuff. Oh, let's just do this. So it took us a long time to build a business sense about what we were doing. And then obviously now we have moved very like different, in a very different direction. But
Yeah, so
yeah,
how did that shift occur from selling terrariums to doing more landscaping type things?
yeah. So what happened with the way we started is like for a very long time we kept telling us, and this is something I've seen a lot in, I'll bring you to a little bit of how women experience running a startup and how women experience doing something very new and completely out there. For a very long time they have a lot of imposter syndrome. And for a very long time, they'll say, oh, I'm just doing it like a hobby. Oh, this is just to keep me engaged. And that was so wrong on our part in some ways, because we were giving so much of our time to it. We were working as much as anyone else who had just started a business working on it. But we never took pride in that fact. And we always, so for a very long time, it took us, for a very long time, it just to build it like a business and to see it like a business and to see that this is something that I'm seriously doing and giving my time to, took almost 3 years of starting, selling terrariums to like actually considering it a business. So we started in 2013, and 2015 is when we actually registered any sort of company. So we registered a partnership firm. But that was the first time we actually formalized that. Till then, it was not even formalized. And we had been selling extensively, without calling it anything. We take salaries for years. So, and we would tell ourselves, we don't take any money and we're not wasting any money. And we realized that it's not true, because we're just basically subsidizing our effort just to not show any loss. And it didn't really help in the long run. So yeah, all those hard fought things taught us a lot. So fortunately, by the time we got, and we have terrariums to thank for, because the first opportunity we got for landscaping was because this client who runs this very big microbrewery in Bangalore saw our terrariums. I think his wife bought a bunch of terrariums to gift, and he really liked them, and he called us and said, thank God it was him, because he was sort of a maverick. He didn't care about credentials. He didn't care that we are not landscape architects. He didn't care that we don't really have any experience in this field, because all he wanted was someone who can think differently. Now when we look back and wonder, like, what was he thinking? Like, why did he ask us to come? Because we had nothing, no background. But for us, it was so exciting. And we also, because we were so new to this whole industry, and because we were so new to the whole concept of business, we didn't think it was a big deal. Now we realize what a big deal it was. Back then, it was just something now, let's just do this. And we did a part of the restaurant in terms of design, and I think he really liked it, and it sort of took off. And that restaurant and the landscaping that we did there became a reference point for us, because it was surrounded by all these companies, and people from the companies would come there to eat, and then we would be there working, and then they said, we run this company, come and do this. So that's where the corporate part of it started.
So that was like a good networking opportunity.
Absolutely. It was just an organic growth that happened. And from that company, I remember it was Hike. And then from Hike, I think we got IndiCube. And now we run some 30 buildings or so of IndiCube in terms of their project execution, maintenance, all those things we do. So that was the corporate side. So it was basically terrariums, we have to thank for. That sort of drove us into this. But after the first project and corporate is easy. It's a very linear, very cost-effective way of doing it. Design either has been done someone else, or the design has to be very simple. So we didn't see the need to actually hire people with landscape architecture experience, or architects for that matter. But when we started moving into slightly bigger projects where we had to do technical things, is when we realized we need to build our team with technical people. And now, thankfully, we have a good team. Yeah. But So that's how basically we grew. It was the most organic way of growing. So it took a long time. And yeah, even learning how to run a business took a long time, from not earning anything to making revenue to paying ourselves, then to having a team, paying the team, the accounts, this, that. I mean, it's a long journey, and it's a lot of learn as you go sort of a growth. But fortunately, we've reached a point where we consider ourselves to be a full-fledged business owners, full-fledged entrepreneurs, somebody who's running a company as well or as much as anyone else is. So yeah, it's a little bit of a hard fought battle for acceptance as well. Yeah.
And it's very interesting. You mentioned how being a woman kind of gives you imposter syndrome in a business setting. How else did being a woman like affect your journey? Like, did it help it or did it hinder it, or do you feel it didn't really make a difference too much?
It didn't hinder. It definitely made a difference. But I won't say it hindered, but it was not like, fortunately it's a design space, so it's not unusual for women to be in this industry. The problem is that the most of the people that I work with, and there are more like gardeners and supervisors and people who are like not as exposed to the growth of women in work culture, to deal with them was a little bit more of a challenge. Also, when we started, we were fairly naive in terms of running a business. We didn't really know how to do things. So I feel like a lot of people took advantage of that as well, because they would think, and because we were, so how as women, you're always it's very difficult for us to like be okay, demand for money or demand payment or go after clients or be aggressive in sales. And those things, I think, are something that I feel should now be taught, like how to assert yourself. I'm not saying be a bully or anything, but just how to be assertive, how to ask for what you want, not to feel like you have to be polite just for the heck of it, and you always have to be nice. Those are the things that took some time for us to sort of wash off. It's still not easy, but now we are facing the challenges that pretty much everyone faces. So now we have come to a point wherein my challenges are, what probably Prabhat's challenges would be, or anyone else running a startup's challenges would be. Like, now I don't talk about like my problem as a woman, but we talk about my problem as a entrepreneur, like cash flow problem, people leaving, attrition. Like, we've reached a point where we talk about that rather than, how do you manage your kids when you're working? Oh, how are you managing sites and when there are so many men around? Like, those are the things that initially were the questions that were thrown at us. Now people don't care.
It's
So
interesting.
that
It's interesting actually, because when I was searching up inspirations for what to talk to you about, a lot of the questions, because I searched up like what women interview questions, right? A lot of them were about like managing home life and managing kids, and I was like, I don't need to ask her that. I'm going to ask her more about her business, right? Because that's important.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Nobody's asking a man who's just starting a business, oh, how are you managing your kids when you're out working? And I manage it as much as my husband manages it, as much as anyone else manages it. You have responsibilities because you give yourself that, but I have never found that to be a problem in my business ever. Actually, interestingly, I think it has been other things that has been a problem. A lot of it also is basically because we were learning on the go. We made so many mistakes, so many. We still make mistakes, a lot of them, but now, we can deal with it. We can deal with a lot of rejections. We can deal with bad reviews. We can deal with projects not going the way we want them to go. Initially, it would like, if one terrarium died, we will be like, oh my God, my plant died. Oh my God, I didn't make a good product. Now I'm like, oh, it's your baby. Now you take care of it. If it dies, your problem. So it takes a long time to reach this point. And so being a woman now is not as much of a problem as it was initially. Also, a lot of people would say, oh, you started this hobby. Oh, it's nice to have this hobby, to keep yourself engaged. Nobody really took it seriously. Also, because nobody really knew the product. Like, why are you selling this? How many people will buy this? So yeah, I mean, those are the issues initially. But I think that was also like a business issue, which is great, because if we were just selling terrariums, we wouldn't be where we are. But terrariums are still something that gets us a eyeballs. We now sell it in high-end stores here. only. We don't sell it directly now. It's still something that gets us a lot of eyeballs.
That's great. That's great. I'll admit, this is the first time I'm hearing about a company that does something like this. I think it's great. I think more companies should be incorporating greenery into urban spaces. But do you feel like there's a small market for it, or has the market grown, or like how have you seen the industry change?
So initially it was a big challenge. People didn't want to, so everyone wanted greenery, and Bangalore. So fortunately we live in Bangalore, and Bangalore greenery is an important part of a lot of people's life. It's pretty much everywhere. It has a climate that allows for anything to grow nicely. So it was always a part of life. What was a challenge was to explain to people that you need to spend on it. That was not something that they would want to spend on. It was not something that invest that a lot of people invested in. I think COVID changed that to a great extent. So before COVID, a lot of our business was corporate. Post COVID, a lot of our business is primary, like a huge part of our business is private homes and balconies and terraces and gardens. That because COVID made people realize that they need an outdoor space, they need greenery in their life, they need a space in their home where they can escape to, where nature is closer to them. And obviously, things are getting more and more expensive. And initially, it was very difficult for us to, we come from a country where like a lot of people just exchange plants. Oh, why do you need to spend like 1,000 rupees, for this plant? I used to go and get it from my neighbor, and things don't work like that now. Most of your neighbors don't have any plants. You have to go and buy them, and land is expensive, and water is expensive, and labor is expensive. So, to convince people to spend an amount of money on plants, which for them was like unusual, was a challenge, with again, COVID has changed completely. So now the project cost, what used to be about 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs is now 10 lakhs, 12 lakhs. People are investing in products, in outdoor furniture, in decor, in, lighting, for outdoor. So things have changed drastically, I would say. Like not even just, a gradual increase, it's been a drastic increase. Yeah.
What would you say to like a woman who wants to, or just not even a woman, just anybody who wants to do a startup? What would your advice be?
I hesitate in saying this because, our journey has been so slow and so gradual and so organic that it won't work in today's age, because things are so much faster than it used to be when we started, although it wasn't that long ago. It was only 2013. But couple of things, like get the basics right. Like don't do what we did, which was had no plan. Like now it won't work. You should have a plan. And I also think like these days people get enamored of an idea and want to do something because they're so enamored of that idea, but they don't really know whether that idea is going to sell. Is there a market for it? Are people willing to pay for it? Might be a great idea, but there's no monetization. So, solve a real problem. Solve a problem that will actually, get you also some income, and take as many advice as possible. Speak to people who have run companies. Be as organized as you can possibly be for someone who doesn't know what he's doing or she's doing. So yeah, for me, it's more like be more organized than us for sure, because then it won't take you as long as it did us. Listen to people. We had such a hard time, telling ourselves that we are running a business, that to take advice was we know what we are doing, we don't need your advice. Don't do that. Take advice. Talk to people who are doing it, whether they're doing it well or wrong. Even people who have failed will give you some advice which will help you. So talk to people, understand how things are, be as organized as you can be. But for me, the primary thing would be, don't start up something unless you're very sure of that product or that idea, and that there is a market for it, and that you can monetize it. Because otherwise it's just very painful to like backtrack after 2 years and saying, oh, it didn't work, it's okay. So yeah, that's my advice.
So when I was looking at your company website, there's something that interested me. You spoke like the company website, there's a bit about like preserving native fauna, like flora and fauna. So why is that important exactly?
So what is happening right now, and unfortunately, we will also see, if you're a professional landscaper, you end up doing a lot of things that people expect you to do, and which are faster growing, which are prettier, but they're not necessarily native. So if they're not necessarily native, you're spending that much more amount of resource to maintain it, versus something which is from here, which will benefit the environment, where it has already established an ecosystem, and you don't have to spend as much maintenance. So, for example, a native tree will immediately start growing. It has already built an ecosystem with its surrounding, with the plants, with the buddy plants, with the birds, with microbes in the soil. It has already, for centuries, it has established that. So why not go for something? And because it has established that, it in overall, the ecosystem sort of helps your environment. These plants are, key to the whole environmental makeup of this particular, of any particular area. So why not encourage that? They might not be the prettiest, but the easiest thing to have. And, beauty is in the eye of a beholder. Like, I love a banyan tree, you might not, but the banyan tree will help. So these are the things. And then, of course, there are so many beneficial native herbs, and that are getting lost because of over grazing and all that, which people don't know about, and they're getting lost, and with that they're taking away a big chunk of microbes that they were supporting. So to encourage these things to grow, for the environment to be stable, you need to encourage native flora and fauna. This is a thing that we talk to people about, like, not be so invested in Mexican lawn, because it's just a lot of water, and just for flat grass. Like, think of other ornamental grass that will not need as much water. Think of native flowers. If you really need flowers, why go for expensive hybrids? Look at the native flowers. So those are the things that we talk about, not have been as successful as we would like to be, because most of the native plants are not grown in this very beautiful pot in this very beautiful way, and you have to like learn to love them, versus all these ornamental plants are very beautiful. So people always gravitate towards easy and beauty. So it's a challenge, but I'm hoping that we get there. Yeah.
But also, in my opinion, I'm from Bangalore too. My family lives there. I go every few years.
Yeah.
Comparatively, like when I went to Bangalore this summer, I saw way more plants in Bangalore than I say New York. I live like half an hour away from New York. When I go there, you see barely any trees. You'll have your parks, but like I feel Bangalore has done like a better job of like having more greenery, like and organically having that sit with the city, right?
Yeah, I hope we don't lose it, because see, it has a climate that encourages this kind of greenery. It has a temperate climate that is, it might be a little drier than, let's say, Kerala or anything, but it's a beautiful climate. It's always been garden state and garden city and like pensioners paradise, all because it was so green. Obviously, it's losing it because of this over thing, but it's still like, even if individually we appreciate what we have and like make the most of it, people don't realize it until they leave Bangalore, that what they have here is very rare. So, when people want us to buy these very expensive, very like rare plants, which are, I mean, it's a waste. You can pretty much grow anything here. So give it some time, buy small, let it grow. Don't have to have like an instant garden, which is what people want now. So yeah, those are the things. But again, I also run a business, so I also have to look at what people want. But yeah, whenever people give us a chance, we try and give them something local.
That's great. That's great. That's very important. A lot of people don't talk about that, so it's amazing to me that your company has a focus in that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something we try. Like, we can't do away with a lot of pollutants. We can't do away with a lot of things that we know are not exactly great for the environment. But slowly we are hoping to change people's mind. But we are also a design company, so the whole balance is a little challenging of what is good plus what is good for the business. But yeah, we should hopefully get there.
So thank you so much for talking to me today, Saumya. It was very insightful. I enjoyed having you as my first guest. We had a great conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I love talking to women and girls. It's fun, and it's great to give my perspective, because people can learn from my mistakes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Saumya. Have a good day.
You too. Have a good day.